Every cycle tour begins with me sitting on the doorstep for 10 minutes, trying to remember what it is I've forgotten. We are ready to cycle to the ferry port. So exciting! We are on the Portsmouth to St Malo ferry. So we'll be sailing from here down to here, cycling here, and then sailing back from here. So this is Portsmouth Harbour, which is a major naval port and obviously a commercial ferry port and a freight ferry port. What? Like a tanker port. So it is 8:30 in the morning, I think. We were first off the ferry. Cyclists are always first off the ferry because they put you right at the front. And there were so many cyclists, so like our bikes were on top of everybody else's. But we rolled straight off, so we were first people to passport control. So that was really quick, and now we are in St Malo, ready to start our adventure. St Malo is so pretty. It's like this walled town. It's really nice. We're just gonna spend a little bit pedaling around the middle of St Malo because it looks so beautiful. Literally, it's like about 2 kilometers in a circle because it's so beautiful. Just want to see it all. I haven't even left like the town yet. So we stopped in Caen for coffee and a crepe because apparently crepe's from Normandy, so it would be rude not to. Today we're following the Eurovelo 4, which just goes along the northern coastline of France, I think. We're following it most of the way actually on this whole trip, but we are deviating off it a bit to follow the coast more than it does. It sort of goes inland quite a lot to cross the Cherbourg Peninsula, and we're going up that coastline a bit. But mainly we're following it. It's not signposted though. In Brittany it's signposted really, really well, the Eurovelo. But here I have seen one sign in 26 kilometres. Just riding along the beach basically. It's beautiful. Day 2, slept pretty badly because it's very uncomfortable sleeping in a tent, but it's another beautiful day, and today we're going to cycle to Mont Saint Michel, which is a fortified village. You'll see it, it's amazing. And then we're going to cycle around the coastline, which is going to be super beaut, and then up and finish on the coastline as well actually, but around the corner a bit on the bottom bit of the Cherbourg Peninsula. We're back on this wicked gravel path that goes through the polders just before Mont Saint-Michel. Polders are, how do I describe them? They're like irrigation channels. This huge patch of land is all like irrigation channels, dead flat. Maybe it's reclaimed, I don't know. So there are way more Eurovelo signposts today. This will take us all the way to Mont Saint-Michel. I had put in a supermarket to stop at, but I missed the turning by like 5 miles. So we've come to a different one in Orange. I don't know how you say it. But honestly, all we've been doing is cycling on these incredible flat cycle paths, and then the road to get up here is literally like this random hill in the middle of nowhere, and it's massive. And we just had to cycle up a switchback. I say cycle up. Cycled up the first switchback and then pushed my bike up the second switchback. It was so steep. Even all the cars were going really slowly. But now at the supermarché of dreams, we are 48 kilometers into this, I don't know, 55 kilometer day. Gonna buy all the food, including dinner, then cycle downhill, down this steep hill to the campsite, which is, I don't think very far, less than 10 kilometers. Almost at the end of day 2, 65 kilometer day it's turned into. Just climbing the final 300 meters to the campsite, and yes, that is climbing. Finally found some hilly, it's not even hilly. This landscape is not hilly, but this is a long slog of a hill. We just stopped on a little coastal hill. There's a coffee van there, very unusual for France. We were coincidentally perfectly in time to watch some military aircraft drop like 100 parachutists for 7th of June commemorations, day after D-Day. What's going on? We arrived at Camping Le Cognier in a town I can't pronounce. It's taken a long while, not because of cycling, but because of a lot of pauses. 6 hours and 20 minutes we've been since we left. We've probably stopped for around an hour and a half. Pretty severe headwind towards the end, and it got hillier. So headwind and hills doth not a great combination make, but it was fine and it's fun and it's still a beautiful day. Perfect temperature, quite a cold wind, but beautiful sunshine, so you don't get too hot. So today, what's most exciting about today is that we're not camping. We're staying in this little hiking hut, which I've spoken about in other videos, and we've stayed in them once before. We've seen them quite a few times, but stayed in them once. And they're like almost always exactly the same design. I guess they come from the same place, but they're so cool. They're 32 euros for the night, which is obviously more expensive than camping, but the last night's camping was 20 euros. So considering you don't have to pay up 10 and you get to stay in this really cool cabin, a lot of the time they don't come with bedding or anything like that, although this one I've just noticed does. So you still have to bring your own, like they'll have a mattress, but you bring your own sleeping bag normally. But theoretically, if you could find, loads of campsites have these in France, so if you could find campsites that have these, you wouldn't even need to bring a tent. It's such a great option. They're not very expensive at all, and you still get that real campsite kind of vibe without having to have a tent and call in and out of that. Beachside camping at its finest. Today was it was 45 kilometers with I think about 280 meters of elevation. So it was less distance than the previous couple of days. Felt so much hillier. It must have been more than 280 meters of elevation because it was like hilly a lot. There was no real, it was mainly like just undulating really, like not really hilly. It wasn't like Dartmoor hilly, it wasn't like hill country hilly. It was undulating, but like constantly undulating. But now we're here, we're on this amazing estuary in this lovely little municipal campsite. It's got like a little shelter with books and tables and a fridge and that kind of stuff in there for campers. Normandy so far has been really flat until today, and even today it's not Brittany hilly. But it does really remind me that even though 45 kilometres isn't that far, the addition of the extra hills, like it really felt like there were a lot of hills today, it really slows you down. I'm carrying 11 kilos, and then my handlebar bag must be another kilo, 1.5, and then obviously 1.5 kilos of water. So that's a lot of weight on top of a, I don't know, 12 kilogram bike. Day 4. It is such beautiful weather. In fact, it's just the same weather it's been the whole time. The only downside is that it's also a really strong headwind. We're going north at the moment and it's northwesterly, so that's pretty tiring, but it's still good. There's loads of planes overhead, like Spitfires, things like that, just like trundling around between airports, I guess, between like different commemorations. So it was D-Day 3 days ago now. And there's still so much going on around here, and I guess more so increasingly as we get to the Normandy beaches. Just rode 10-12 kilometres into a 22-mile-an-hour headwind. It was brutal. So we've finished day 4 and we're here in Barneville Carteret, to use the most English pronunciation in the world. This is a perfect example of the entire cycle trip. So we started in St Malo, which is here, and then we've cycled over the last few days. Mont Saint Michel is there. Cycled around here, up here, up here, up here, la da da da. Last night we stayed here. Today we've cycled around here, up here, through Lessay, and then this stretch here was absolutely savage. That was just like full on headwind the whole way. And then you've got Cherbourg up there, which also there's a ferry to Portsmouth there. Tomorrow we're not going to carry on cycling north, we're going to follow the Green Way, pretty much I think. I just looked at the commute route that I'm following tomorrow, and I've just seen that we're actually going to be back on the Eurovelo 4 tomorrow, which is massively exciting. So we started off on the Eurovelo 4 for the first 1.5 days, I think, and then we left it because the Eurovelo 4 goes along here, and then it leaves the coastline and it goes up to Cherbourg, and then you can split it and go up here, and we followed the coastline all the way up because I love me a coastline. But we'll be actually getting back on it pretty much like here or something, and then following the Eurovelo 4 all the way to here, and then I think onwards. This trail is absolutely incredible. We've just done the last 10 kilometres in about 5 seconds. You can go so fast. 60 kilometres today. We've just made it to the place I can't pronounce. I was going to ask a reception how to pronounce it. Ugh, I'll have to ask later. Ancy-sur-Mer. Insigny-sur-Mer. I don't know. We just made it. It's, well, I don't know what time it is. It's sometime, maybe 4 o'clock. First thing I do when I get to a campsite is set up the tent, mainly because it just gets it out of the way. It gives me somewhere to put my stuff if I then want to go explore somewhere else. So immediately get here, check it and do all the reception stuff, set the tent up, which takes minutes. It's so fast. It's great. And then straight away I do my sleeping mat, let that self-inflate, and then put my sleeping bag out so it can air because it's down at the end of the day, so it doesn't really like being crumpled up. I put my mat bag into my sleeping bag, and then as a pillow, which I don't have, I stuff that sleeping bag with this jumper and my down jacket and a towel, whatever else I have to hand, and then you can do it up like the compression way, and then that is a pillow. French ducks are extremely forthright. Good morning, day 6. We're leaving La Fanal campsite and heading to Vélomaritime, famous for the tapestry, via the Eurovelo 1 along the coastline. Now riding along the top of Omaha Beach. There's a lot of, obviously, memorials around, a lot of people. It's crazy, the sense of scale. So we just stopped to have something to eat just on the edge of Omaha Beach. We're now on the other edge of Colville, St Malo, which is where the American cemetery is. So probably the classic one that you've seen, like all the white crosses. And it's just unreal. This is a hill and a half. That's actually really emotional, much more than I thought it would be. We've made it to Westerham, which is Caen essentially, but on the coast, which is where the ferry will go from tomorrow. And it is a beautiful day. It's just been flat most of today, like completely flat after the memorial and just pretty much down to the coast, really flat. Spending a very bougie final night in a hotel because we have to be at the ferry port at 7:15 tomorrow morning and I don't want to pack up a tent. We're staying in the Ibis, which is the cheapest hotel you can pretty much find, but also the ferry port is lava. 7:15 in the morning and we are just cycling across the road to the ferry port. Here we are, back where we started 1 week ago. Time to head home.